Today we're going to talk about 3 different ways to pay off debt. 2 of them you probably already know about, and they are wildly different. Very different techniques, very different strategies. The last one is going to be incredibly different for you, but I think you're gonna like it.
Hey, I have free resources in the description box, but also it is like oxygen to me when you like, when you comment, subscribe. It really means a lot to me. It helps me to create more videos.
If you're new here, hello, my name is Michelle Pava. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and I focus on finance therapy and helping you get the life that you desire. Basically, I put your purse on the therapy couch. So let's just talk about debt just a little bit. Now, we know that anyone can have debt. Sometimes people think that it's only if you have a lower income job that you would have a lot of debt. But we know that millionaires go in debt every day. We know that billion-dollar companies fold all of the time. We also know that there are people who have been struggling all of their life, and they go from basically rags to riches stories, right? We hear about that all of the time. And this means that it's not really about how much you're making, it's about how much you're spending. And a lot of our spending, if not all of our spending, comes from some form of emotion. So when I see people who have finance issues, I know there's something emotional happening underneath of it. So it's not just a mathematical problem. You didn't go into debt because you can't add or subtract basic numbers. You went into debt because there were emotions behind your spending, or your lending, or you're enabling someone else. In some way, emotions were the driver of where you are right now. But good news, emotions can also save you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, like I said earlier, there are 2 main areas, 2 main schools of thought on how to eliminate debt. This is taking out loans and all of that. But there is the Snowball Method and the Avalanche Method. The Snowball Method is a little bit more psychological. It has a little bit more of an empowering feeling connected to it, but you actually take longer to pay off debt because you're not working with the highest interest rates. What you're doing is you're looking at the smallest debts. So you have a lot of little tiny wins. So a really common first bill that you pay off with the Snowball Method might be a doctor's bill. There's also the Avalanche Method. The Avalanche Method is all about looking at the highest interest rates to save you more money long term. Now that one might be the credit card with the highest interest rate. It might be a car loan. It might be a student loan. It's usually a bigger loan and a higher interest rate. So which one of these are actually the best? You might have no feeling about this, but you might have a really strong feeling about this, because there are people like Dave Ramsey who support one type or another of debt recovery. Dave Ramsey is definitely in the snowball camp. And because he's very popular, he has a lot of people that have had success and they talk about it a lot. So when you have popularity and you have a lot of people talking, you also have a lot of feelings that this is the best way. And for some people that does work. But what you're not hearing is all of the people that it's not working for. And that's because debt carries a lot of shame. Money stories that are not successful, that are not romantic love stories, have a lot of shame attached. So most people don't go around broadcasting the fact that they are very much in debt and that the effort that other people have had success with didn't work for them. They might feel like they have a personal failure. And I'm not saying that that is wrong. I think both the Snowball and the Avalanche Method are amazing. And that is why I suggest, if you really want to get out of debt, it doesn't matter where you are in the scheme of things. I think you should blend them. Let's just say that you have $50,000 worth of debt and you're deciding to go the snowball route. So you're going to pay the smaller payments first. A lot of times these may have a late fee attached, but there's usually not interest with those. So you're going to knock those out and you're going to feel really good. And you're going to have a little bit of extra money to start knocking down some of the higher debts that you have. And that's fine. Someone else could have the same exact amount of debt. Let's just say the same doctor bills, the same student loans, the same everything. But they decide to use the Avalanche Method. So they're starting at the top, knocking out the higher interest rates and then moving downward. Now by this time, they might have a late fee or 2 late fees attached to some of their smaller bills. That doesn't help their credit. And with the snowball route, it can take you a really long time and that's not going to help your credit. So I propose something a little different. Let's just say you have $1,000 to play around with for bills. And when I say play around with it, you're probably juggling that $1,000 robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to take $1,000 and I want you to take 400 of that and I want you to start knocking out that high interest debt. Then I want you to take another $400 and I want you to start knocking out some of those nickel and dime bills that you have sitting around that you've been ignoring and are just racking up late fees and bad credit, because those bills tend to go immediately to collections, and once they're in collections, you start to get bad credit. So the whole idea here is that you're working on both the Avalanche and the Snowball, and you are empowered, and you're going to feel good because you know that you're knocking out that high interest rate, you know that you're working on that small debt that's nickel and diming you to death, and you also have $200 to play around with. But that's going to be intentional also, because in the middle of all of this, I want you to make phone calls and I want you to send emails out to all of the mid-ground stuff. So these are the ones that you're not paying. It might only be 1 or 2 bills, or it could be a slew of them. But right now you don't have what it takes to pay these minimum payments. So I want you to negotiate by 50%. This means that if you have a $100 minimum payment every month, I want you to try to get that down to $50. Now, if they offer you to skip a month or they offer to have a longer time period, you don't want that. What you want is to cut that payment down by 50%. If they don't allow that, they probably will at least take about 20 to 25% off. Be happy with whatever you get at that negotiation, but definitely negotiate. You want to have the monthly fees that you're putting out down by 50%, because once you start to get rid of those small bills that are nickel and diming you and you start to bring down the interest rate on the bigger bills, you can start addressing those mid-debt bills. Listen, when you start doing this, you're going to feel empowered. You're going to see that you have more money to play around with. And when you feel more empowered and when you start behaving in a different way with these bills and when you start addressing them, that is what brings behavior and emotions and feelings. Behavior, emotions, and feelings are going to heal different areas of your life. So you might start to really feel happier and better overall, and you probably will start spending less because you're going to understand the value of each and every dollar, each and every penny that is going out. Because each and every penny that's going out, each and every penny that you can negotiate is going to be money in your pocket long term. Because as you knock out these bills and as you lower your interest rate, you're going to get more money every month. Because as you start negotiating and getting those bills down, and as you start getting the interest rate down, and as you start knocking out those little bills, you're technically going to have more money to play around with every single month to now cover more of that debt. And the more debt you get rid of, the more money that is in your pocket. Now, I don't want to get into it right now, but I don't want it just to sit in a savings account. I want you to start investing. We'll talk about that another time. But for right now, tell me what you love. Do you love the Snowball Method more? Do you like the Avalanche Method? Or are you going to try my method where you're combining both of them? I would love for you to comment below, especially if you're already financially stable and you have some advice for others. Earlier in the video, I told you I have a membership group and it's right here on YouTube, and I would love for you to join, and the information on that is below and in the next video.